I need to give the button one click to increase noise cancellation. Yeah. Okay. So is it okay if I ask you what you do for Royal and what you do?
Yeah, let's.
How do you want to?
Let's wait until my colleagues aren't ruining the shot, shall we?
So I think it's the antivirus that he has installed.
I mean, have you seen how many of my colleagues are here? It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Amazing.
Everybody's.
I mean, the thing is, everybody's such an incurable petrol head. There's actually the very actual Mark Wells over there selling, trying to sell a bike to that guy. So it's
very
fantastic.
few brands have that connect where doesn't matter who, they are there, ready to speak with the the prospect or the.
Well, that's one of the things that is a delight about working here, because there's practically no one who doesn't ride. Maybe some secretarial stuff, or I don't know, cleaner perhaps. The cleaner comes into work on a motorbike.
On a motorbike.
So really, it's a community of riders, and the fact that our CXOs all ride as well, it allows me, I feel, to speak with utter sincerity when we talk about. I think the customer can be confident that we really know what we're talking about, and we've really researched it properly, and everything we're doing comes from the heart. Obviously, we've got to make money, but the point is, at least we understand motorcycles.
It's a motorcycling company, right from
a motorcycling company, exactly right.
Yeah, it's not just about making motorcycles.
No,
it's about motorcycling.
It's about motorcycling, and we're successful at that. We've got an incredible community, and we're attracting people to the community. And you see the queues. Do you see the queues this morning to ride the?
They were close to 100.
Yeah, and that was 7 o'clock in the morning, and they'd been there since 6 or something.
They went around this way. It was taking a big U-turn and coming back to the road.
A blockbuster queue.
It's the biggest at this festival.
Yeah,
I did walk around at 7 in the morning. Yeah, by far the longest queue was here. Talking about motorcycling, you mentioned that's in developed markets like this. It's more about motorcycling than about the motorcycle. Would you subscribe to that sort of?
I don't know whether that's true. Developed market, different demographic. You look around Bosque and those guys, they all look like us, don't they?
Yeah.
There's practically no one under 50 here, it looks like. Whereas we know, oh, wait a minute, look, suddenly there's a child. But, we know that our demographic in India is like 18 to 30, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's young people, and that's a lot to do with life stages. So young people need to be mobile, they need to get around, they need perhaps to get to college. Of course, they can't afford houses with garages, and they don't have parking spaces, and we recognise that, and that is a determining factor why there are so many bikes in India. Now here, talking about life stages, you've got guys and you've got guys and girls that have done everything, had the family, are older, and they've got disposable income now. Maybe they can work from home, maybe they're freelance, maybe they don't need to be in the office all the time, perhaps they retired early, they've got some money to indulge themselves, and motorcycling is a fantastic way to do that. And well, it's in the name, isn't it? Adventure motorcycling is all part of that. So and so now, possibly also if they're thinking about getting older and maybe what happens next, they're prepared to spend the money and do it, and the manufacturers are here sort of fulfilling the dream of that with very often very big, very capable, powerful bikes that that appeal to a certain type of person. We're not in that game. One of the interesting things is, though, that we know what it takes to get over some terrain, and we know how little of a motorbike you need to be able to do that convincingly. And this is really working, because the amount of people who have come up to me on the stand and just gone, oh, I've got a whatever it is, and I love it, but I worry when I push it around, I worry when it's on gravel, and at which point it's not an adventure, is it? It's an exercise in anxiety, and
It's exactly what it is supposed to, opposite
yeah,
meant
exactly,
to
it's
do.
the opposite to what it's meant to do.
Yeah, motorcycling is meant to do
so
that.
it's not an enabler at all. It's like an extra piece of worry in your life, and
Sorry.
so we're trying to remove that. I mean, obviously, that's a corollary of designing. We originally had the original Himalayan, which had a very modest ambition in the first place. So obviously, our bike is not going to be. We certainly don't have any interest in competing with the very big, very powerful bikes. But nevertheless, those customers do have an interest in maybe a little bit less power, maybe almost just as much suspension travel, maybe more off-road capability, and there's your adventure right there. Plus you can afford our bike, you can buy all the kit, and you can go around the world for the price of a fantastic European thing. So, I know which I'd rather be doing.
Accessible motorcycle.
Accessible.
In
exactly,
all ways.
Exactly. In all ways, to get on, to purchase. That we want to get people into motorcycling, and as I don't need to convince you, we're evangelical about that. Every day on a bike is a good day, right?
Yeah.
If somebody is talking to me about bikes and they decide to go, they buy a Royal Enfield, that's great. If they're talking to me about bikes and they go off and buy another person's bike, that's great too.
Why not? Motorcycling is the core.
Yeah.
And this brand is an enabler.
Yeah, and we'll get them next time round.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I spoke to several of the riders who came back from a test ride of the Himalayan.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 had a similar answer to 2 questions I asked. I asked them what motorcycle do they own and what do they use. 9 out of 10 had big motorcycles. I would say when reference big 700s, the 800s, the 900s and so on.
Yeah.
And the second question was why are they taking a test ride? Obviously curious to find out what's the deeper, what is the core of this exercise. They want something that is less intimidating. They cannot use their big motorcycle everywhere. They're kind of done with that to an extent. More usable, more rideable, more enjoyable. They don't want the stress of carrying around a big motorcycle.
There's also, again, you said in a developed market, there's also a type of, there'll always be a guy who has got the skills, has got the money, is fit enough to get the very best out of those incredible bikes. And I'm not taking anything away from them, because again, I absolutely love that, and I'm a speed freak, but a lot of those guys will also buy our bike as well, because they appreciate, one, they go, well, maybe I spent £30,000 on that thing, or £25,000 on that thing, but if I spend £6,000 on this, I don't mind dropping it. I don't worry about it. I get it dirty, I can leave it, I can let it rust, I can anything. And that's another aspect to ownership, isn't it? That kind of disposability. Now, this is I know that is a very, very privileged position, and very many of your viewers are nothing like that position, but we think and we feel comfortable that we've got all of those bases covered. We build a bike that is modest and affordable enough for a young guy in India, and that bike is still appealing to to somebody who wants to go and do hard enduro 1 minute and and drive something a little less intimidating the next. So.
Indeed. It's evident. Yes, you can. Sorry, I didn't pay attention to you when you asked me the first time. No, it's evident. It's evident, the positioning. Now, the 411, did it, the sales, the acceptance, did it surprise you in any way? Yes, we have expectations.
I think
it
surprised me less probably than it surprised the company.
Okay.
If you think back, the reason we did the first 411 was that Sid was in Ladakh and he was seeing people, like as everybody did, they were riding around on either little commuter bikes or they were on bullets or something, and his idea was, surely there's so many bullets and people are so keen to do this adventure tourism, surely there's a market for a bike that is built for the purpose. But we didn't set our performance goals very high because, well, the consumer didn't demand it for a start. They weren't thinking like that. So we thought something a little bit better than a bullet with a little bit better suspension and all that kind of stuff would be good. And then, we then launched it and we said how great it was for riding in the Himalayas, and we called it the Himalayan. And frankly, most of the Indian consumer went, well, I don't ride there, so I don't need that bike.
Yeah.
And so people didn't get it at all. Initially, that's right. And I think it started to gain traction in those markets like America and Australia and Canada and where there are genuinely lots of dirt roads, and people want an affordable bike that they can just hop on, and they don't have all the kind of they're not interested in image, and they don't want a big expensive bike. They just need a tool, a utility item. And the Himalayan was that, because it is just a tool, isn't it? It's a tool for getting over that rocky bit, And so when we came, we immediately started thinking about how we could improve it, because obviously Royal Enfield was also growing at about that time. There was this big import of talent from all over the world, instead of just being Trivature centric. And so, with those people and with their experiences came the know-how to genuinely move the bike on. But we always kept to our understanding of the core beliefs and our total understanding of the brand and of the core demographic. So those were things that we obviously mustn't screw up. So it actually led to our ambitions for this bike being quite modest. And in the intervening years, you started to get, I think, unlimited data phone contracts became a lot cheaper in India.
Yes.
So now all the kids have got YouTube. They can see what kids in the rest of the world are doing. And all of a sudden this appetite, they can see YouTube stars doing incredible things on bikes, and they start to want to emulate them. And for that, you need a better performing bike. It's very hard to do big jumps on your little commuter bike, isn't it? So the appetite for a bit more performance and hardcore action developed way faster, because we can only go at the pace it takes to meet our initial ambition. So, I think people's excitement about adventure riding, even in India now as well, is much stronger than we anticipated. We knew there was a demand for it. We knew people loved the Himalayan. We thought they'd love this, but we couldn't really have predicted how much, I think. And luckily, we've designed something that is definitely up to it, isn't it? So this bike, it keeps all of the neutral steering and the docility of the original bike, and the thing that made it something that people found unintimidating. But if you are a more skilled rider, this thing really responds.
It can, yes.
And
yes.
You can, if you're an insanely skilled rider, it stands up to stunts and jumps and rock gardens and heaven knows what. And
Yeah, that's one of the things I notice about this motorcycle. The performance motorcycles, the off-road motorcycles, the adventure, the enduros, the standard benchmarks around the world today, some brands and some models, those are extremely intimidating for an average rider. However, that is the 450 stands out in that. I mean, it stands apart.
Yes.
It's not intimidating for exactly what you mentioned. It's okay for casual rider to enjoy, and skill levels are greater. They too can have fun on this motorcycle.
Absolutely, and part of that comes from because we all ride, we understand that inherently. Whereas if you are chasing a spec sheet, then it would appear you need more power. It would appear you need, more brakes, more everything, more tech, and you do need that if you're chasing the spec sheet, but you don't need it if you want to have a great ride.
Yeah.
And this bike will deliver 99% of the fun of a more powerful bike and a fraction of the worry and intimidation, and it's a no-brainer for me.
That's a great combo. Like I mentioned, I I got rid of my bigger motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because this could do all what I want
Yep.
and more.
Yeah.
And for me, there is a bit of future proofing also in it.
Yes.
If I do
Yeah.
decide to get a bit more adventurous,
Yeah.
get better at riding, there is enough room in the motorcycle to accommodate those needs also.
Absolutely.
So I'm not likely to outgrow
No.
this motorcycle anywhere in the near future.
Well, you know, people ask me what the best accessory they could get for this bike, and I say training. You know, skills, adventure skills.
Yes.
You know, you're going to enjoy your bike so much more if you become capable. Don't spend money on suspension, don't spend, okay, maybe tyres, depends where you're going to go. But literally, there is absolutely no need. You're not going to enjoy it anymore with bits on your bike, but improving your ability is definitely going to allow you to enjoy, and not just our bikes, any bike, you know.
Any motorcycle,
Yeah.
yes. Skilled rider is a safe rider. A safe rider has more fun.
And
got
is having less worry.
more time to enjoy the
Exactly
motorcycling
right. Yeah.
rather than be worried about the motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I going to drop? Am I going to
and
hurt myself?
We want this bike, you know, obviously we're here and we're saying, look at our new bike and aren't we cool and all that kind of stuff, but we actually want the bike to vanish away
Yeah.
on your ride. And although you don't want it, you know, it's got a little bit of a throb. You know, it's nice to know that you're on a machine, but you don't want it to be the thing that is distracting you from the gorgeous scenery or the lambs or the, you know, whatever it happens to be, you know, whatever flora and fauna is wherever you go.
So I look at where all can I go on my motorcycle? What all can I do on my motorcycle?
Yeah.
That's more, like you say, the less it is so low on intimidation, I realize I'm able to enjoy other things much more.
Yeah. Well, you don't notice that you're enjoying it more because, you know, it's just it's gone out of the consideration set, hasn't it? It's like,
Because I do travel to the same locations quite frequently, you know, out of Bangalore here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done that on my Tiger 800 XC some years ago, then recently on the V-Strom 650.
Yeah.
And now similar routes, same destinations, weekend rides on the Himalayan 450. I am a little more at ease now.
yeah.
I have one or two less things to worry about. And that goes for many more. It's not just me.
My boss running the shot.
Yeah. Attending to customers.
Well, you're going to leave that in, right?
I will.
So yeah, so I do the same thing. So I take my bikes and I ride on the same roads because, you know, then, you know, obviously that allows you to assess a bike better. So if I borrow, you know, if I take one of these from work, or if I, yes, we ride all the competitors' bikes. So, you know, if I've got a competitor's bike, whatever, I'm on familiar roads and I can compare it with the bikes that I've actually chosen to own. And some of the, you know, if I tell you some of the bikes I've got, then your viewers are going to go, oh wait, I can see where he got that idea from. So I've got, I ride a Hypermotard 950. Okay. I've got a TDR 250. You know what that is? Yamaha TDR 250,
yes.
two-stroke, little,
Yes,
very lightweight,
yes.
fantastic thing, dual-purpose bike. And I've got a Honda Dominator back from '88. Which is, you know, the original
Dominator.
really
That's
dual
a 650
sports,
single?
650 single dual sports, but not an overtly off-road one. It's the first sort of one with a little bit more bodywork and slightly Dakar-like.
I had a choice between buying a Dominator or the Tenere XTZ 660.
Yes, yeah, there we go. They were
A single.
contemporaries. Yeah.
So I bought that.
Yeah,
At
so
around the same time,
yeah,
it was kind of XT 650.
So my Dominator was in the studio when we were doing the clay model.
Inspired from
Well,
some of the.
actually, it was somewhere to park it over winter. But you know, hey, I was inspired. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a bike I'm very familiar with, and I know that it works in terms of ergonomics and all that kind of stuff. So it's extremely helpful to have that as a reference. You know.
Let me check in the sun if it is still overheating or. It's okay. It's still on.
Yep.
It might shut down, overheat sometimes. So, yeah. So. Oh. I'm sure you've been over this several times before, but just to get back to the context.
Yeah.
When was the concept? Yes, the 411 was there, and then it started to do better. Like you said, the company was pleasantly surprised at it doing better than what it was originally expected. Though you said you weren't surprised. You probably understood the potential more. When did the first sketch start on the 450? The concept, say yes.
Well, so our process is that we have a department called product strategy, and what they do is they talk to everybody and they find out what improvements they want. They find out what they like, and when we're planning a new model, we listen to all of that.
Fine, mate.
Do you want to go back to the beginning of that one?
No, it's okay. You can just start the sentence again. I'll manage that.
I wanted to say hello, mate.
Oh, Chris, hello.
Hi, you're right.
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Where are you going to be? I want to catch up with you later.
I'll probably be by the bridge centre and I'll be here later.
Are you going to wave at Bosky's viewers?
You can say hello.
Hey! I fully walked into the middle of it. I didn't see the photo.
That's okay, no.
I should know better.
It's going to stay in.
For you, Chris.
It's part of the deal.
This guy, he knows a lot.
Excellent. So, Chris, he's been helping us with the development. So, there's a good example there. We use extremely skilled riders who tell us, yes, this is good enough now. Here's my boss again walking through the shop. Second time
filming?
now.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You can say hello.
We just had Chris Morthover do the same thing. So anyway, Bosky, remind me where we were.
The
process.
Where started, where the concept, where did it originate?
We've got a really good start. We absolutely know that it's the 411, it's the Himalayan, it's already a brand.
Yes.
It was already clearly a sub-brand, even by the time we launched the bike, to be honest. So we knew we mustn't screw that up, but we knew we wanted to give it a bit more. And at the time I was given the job, it was like a blank sheet of paper. We were designing a new engine, and I was at liberty to really lay it out how I thought, and how do we meet all those goals of like good wheel articulation and low seat height and good ground clearance. And clearly something had to change something about the construction of the bike had to change in order to meet those goals. So I started from the inside out. So I'm not a draw a styly bike guy. I'm a sit down with a table with a napkin and just jot down ideas. And you might have seen some of the presentations I've done where we show how my sketches gradually develop into the clay model and those kind of things. But essentially the process is that once we've got a concept for the bike, which includes this sort of chassis layout work that I've just described, then we've got designer teams on both sides of the world with guys doing lots of drawings and just sketching over and over again ideas that they think are good, and then we see how the styles of bike that everybody's drawing can be coalesced into something that will work properly with this package. But it's not really a drawing and designing exercise. It's where do the mechanical components go? Where does a person move? Like, for example, the fuel tank shape is dictated by the position of the airbox, the need to put the amount of fuel on, where your legs are when you're sitting down, when your legs are where you're standing up, wheeling, or going up over a tree stump or something like that. And so, in a way, I know it's a bit trite to say it designs itself, but by the time all of the ergonomic considerations and the mechanical considerations are taken into are finalized, form follows function, and that was a very, very strong. We allowed that to happen, rather than force a style onto the thing that, say, the engineers wanted. We were bringing the bike together towards a certain thing.
Which year did this start?
It started in 2017, the minute I joined.
2017.
Yeah.
At that time, there definitely didn't exist in the company the resources and the capability to build something like this. So that also had to be built along. Would you say that?
That was already underway though.
It was underway, okay.
It was definitely underway because we were working on the twins. We, the twins were highly developed when I first arrived. Also the 350 Classic J platform. So I designed the Hunter. That was my first job. I did the Hunter alongside this, but the platform I didn't have a particular input into the platform, except for the things that made the Hunter. So we redesigned everything behind the main chassis member and all the electrical and airbox components to get it more compact. But so that was kind of part of it. That business, Sid's aspiration of getting a global, acquiring global skills, shall we say, and looking beyond the domestic market was definitely well underway by that
because
time.
that had to happen parallelly, otherwise this is not going to go.
No, you can't sort of, I think, that's a mistake people make. They go, right, we need this thing, we need it in 4 years' time, we're going to put a team together. Are they going to gel? Does it work? Are the systems in place? You'll have heard umpteen people say that we're probably the oldest continuously manufactured startup, if you like. Certainly, this iteration of Royal Enfield is more like a startup because we've grown so fast, and talent has been pulled in from all over, and the natural abilities and resourcefulness of the domestic skills pool has massively helped with that, and it's amazing.
It takes a lot for such a departure from what the platforms, the technology being used to go to the image. Everything about it is different. Everything about it. When it first came out, the discussion with my friends and all, we said, okay, take that label out, Royal Enfield.
Yeah.
You could stick anything in there. And
I don't think that's true. I'm going to dispute that.
At the beginning, at the start.
Yeah, sure.
That's where our expectation, our understanding of the capability, what can Royal Enfield do? Really? No, this one? Maybe you could. It was meant in a good way, in a nice way.
I see what you're saying.
It was meant in a nice way. That is the kind of step that was taken with this platform and the entire design. Total departure.
It is a departure, but we haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater. It's clear to us, it's clear to those of us who totally get the brand, and it's quite easy to get our brand. That's the whole point. It's clear to see what we stand for. And so I might have only just joined, but it was a joy to start working on this because Royal Enfield's strengths are so blatantly obvious, and we wanted to just build on all of the good stuff that had come before, and we wanted to delight the fantastic community of owners and to reward the passion that those guys have had since the 50s. Since it was the magistrate on his bullet or whatever it was. It's an aspirational purchase with a very strong brand value, and we respect that, and so we have amped that up, haven't we?
Most certainly has happened. It's given a new direction, a relevant direction, which was necessary, because I cannot imagine Royal Enfield without a product like this today. It's become part of the brand now. This is the strategy, the direction,
that's how
the
things evolve, isn't it? When we bring the next one out, I expect there'll be just as many people wondering where the Kickstarter is, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what they're already wondering where's the Kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder soon whether we'll need a spark plug or not. I don't know. I'm sure that's also in play. So, it's
an
open secret. So.
I don't know. There'll be something electrical on the next one, I'm sure.
I think there's some more showcased in a couple of expos. So there is work going on that front also.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
We'll confirm it to him. Steve, pleasure talking to you. I think we could sit here all day talking about it.
Is this warm enough for you?
Yeah.
You guys
feels home.
We put these guys through hell. with the cold. So, and we're making him sleep in a tent. Have you got pictures of you in the tent?
I didn't sleep in the tent.
Oh, okay.
Brick and mortar
we're
for me.
making the others sleep in a tent.
Yeah, everybody else in the tent. I went and slept in a proper brick and mortar. I can't handle the tent. Not yet.
Oh, you
not
need the
yet.
full festival experience.
Next year.
Yeah,
This is my first
absolutely.
time here, and I'm glad I made it here. So happy to see all of this.
There's a crazy scene tonight. You're going to come and have some beers with us?
I will do that.
Absolutely,
I will
Bosky.
do that. Thank you so much,
You're such a guy.
Steve. Thanks for your
Thanks,
time.
everyone.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Awesome.